So this time, this movie actually has the word wild in its title as well as it happens. So I suppose it it must be wild. Yeah, it is just a bit too much in my opinion. And well, these kind of movies are really always too wild. I mean, like it's one thing to go somewhere, but then they end up going so much further, right? So yeah, I'm talking about so-called um, another gay sequel that I just watched, but I also obviously watched the previous one as well, just some time ago. So yeah, and as usual, I mean, like American Pie as well. I have watched a few of those as well, and it's one of those things. Like there are some things. I mean, I don't know. I suppose they try to cater for many people, but they just go a bit too far. Like, I mean, all right. In American Pie, for example, I mean, it's literally the title. So I suppose condemning it for having him try to fuck a pie is, I guess, a bit absurd because so I do not I didn't personally dislike that specifically too much. I didn't find it funny either specifically. What I disliked though in some version of that, I don't think it was the first, but and something similar also happened here. Is this thing, this weird thing about practically caprophagia, I think it's called. I mean, I know I, j- it's trying to really cater to a lot of people, but I'm not sure how many people honestly like it, and it's just, not to mention it's potentially dangerous due to, germs and such potentially present, and it's just, it kills off any fun that might have been previously. In this one, I mean, the American Pie had that as well. So I'm just trying to say that, you know, I mean, another gay movie and its sequel might not be as mainstream as American Pie, but they are pretty similar. American Pie is obviously for straight people, and this is for but they're very similar. They both have this thing about going too far. You know, like I don't mind. In fact, I really thought it was funny when in American Pie, they had something they like. It's usually to do with glue and such, and they copied it as well, and they I mean, this is the thing, though. Like, what they did in American Pie was funny. What they did here, though, wasn't, in my opinion. I mean, it did go too far in terms of. I mean, they even included some gore, supposed gore, and what's the point? This is supposed to be a comedy or a horror, I mean, just usually, even when horror, has gore, it's just stupid. And what's the point? I mean, come on, gore during sex, like really? I mean, you can only take competition too far, really, sometimes. There were some things that were funny, but not many. Just like with American Pie, not very different. But this is the thing, they go a bit too far. Like, you know, I didn't mind that sequence where they actually turn it into a musical, and the topic is golden showers as it happens. The fact that they turn into a musical, it's already a bonus. It was kind of fun. Not funny per se, just fun. Uh, and I mean, if they did the same thing, so obviously with the other thing, the only thing they did with regards to that is in regards to um, so-called, what was it called again? One of those trio. Uh, and which made everyone reject him at the end. I mean, yeah, so they made it so people would reject him, but was the point? It was it really killed off the atmosphere. And it's the same thing, to be fair, with American Pie. They did something similar. Whenever movies include this topic specifically, it just kills off. And the same thing with really, the lowest common denominator in comedy, in my opinion, is sort of fart jokes and such. Obviously, very, very much the lowest. Uh, and I think there was one in this movie, but they didn't rely on it too much. But no, where they went really, really low, so I think possibly even lower than the other one, because it wasn't that to the same degree. I mean, they just kept on going on and on and on. And it was unbearable. Was the sequence with the vomiting? I mean, come on, really? Do they seriously think vomiting is funny? What do they think exactly? I don't get it. It's just, they kept on doing it. Like, really? There's no way in hell that is remotely realistic. I suppose they care about realism, but I just don't get it. I don't know why they do that at all. I don't think there's anyone really who is into vomiting, is there? I'll probably be surprised. But just these are instances where they go too far, I think. Uh, on the other hand, I mean, there were still funny instances, so it's not like, I'm just saying that, it was mostly negative. I mean, I read that it's not as well regarded as the prequel, but they're fairly similar, so I'm not sure what they think. Maybe people had too much of this generally, but somehow the prequel had a cult following and this one not. And I noticed the box office earnings as well, and the other one did make a profit, whereas this one lost 400,000 or something. Um, I don't see really how. It's a bit strange, I suppose, or maybe, yeah, maybe I guess people went onto the shock factor for the first one, and then I suppose when the second one came out 2 years later, they thought, well, I've already been shocked. I don't care about this one now. I mean, I personally took years, many years before watching the sequel, so actually I don't know but anyway, yeah, but they're fairly similar anyway. Both of them are almost identical, with the addition of Perez Hilton and RuPaul, apparently. I'm not incredibly familiar with them both, but there we go. Yeah, Perez's role was quite something. That was funny, right? The fact that he could go into these two states just by getting his head hit. That was funny, and then like how he started to preach, and then as soon as he finished, everyone just shrugged their shoulders and continued on with what he's doing. There are, I guess, snippets of comedy. And obviously, this is the kind of comedy that is over the top. I'm not expecting anything subtle here at all. I mean, I certainly do not go into either American Pie or this. You know, I go into them just like I go to these ultra. I don't know what I call them. I'm not sure if they have a specific name. I don't think this has a specific name either. But these the ultra gory horror movies. Knowing that, well, I mean, usually I know that they are like that based on the director or such. Other than that, I guess I'm not sure. It's not like I knew what American Pie would be like before I watched it first, originally, I suppose. It's, yeah, quite a. I suppose one must say it's an extreme sort of comedy. You cannot say it's not. It just is. Um, you know, I never realized before I watched it that, yeah, the pie in the title is going to be screwed with. Literally, yes, it's quite something, and suppose it's the same with this. I mean, I didn't know what they would do, and obviously another gay movie isn't quite the most specific title, so one there's not there's only a couple of them as well. Suppose that's a bit disappointing considering there's a bazillion of American Pie. I've watched I think three maybe so far. Yeah. But anyway, they're all fairly similar though. Obviously, just different genders and such. Very similar comedy though. Very. Yeah, I just wish they toned down the very outer extremes. You know, in my opinion, they're not really comedic. I wish they just focus on the comedy. I guess that's the whole point, right? So even if the comedy is extreme, it just needs to be comedic. So, I mean, I don't know. So, um, some directors think that it seems like it happens in both the horror and the comedy genres, possibly. Yeah, where directors go in thinking, let's be as extreme as possible, even to this extent. But I just um, I don't consider feces to be funny. Just I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't. And in a similar vein, I don't consider gore to be necessarily horrific. And as it happens in this specific movie, they were both. So wow, they're going for bingo. Um, I don't know why. Obviously, I'm assuming they tried to emulate Resident Evil there in one sequence, dream sequence, I call. Yeah. Um, but yeah, Perez's song at the end was kind of fun as well. I suppose it's a sort of PSA for, because obviously all the stuff that happens is quite potentially harmful. So mentioning all the potential ramifications could be useful, even if it's by someone who is really just some celebrity obsessive for some reason. His role was so fun, one has got to admit, right? Like, how do you go from sucking a priest's cock to getting hit on the head by something, to becoming a priest, to getting hit again, and going on to continue on with the orgy? That's quite a journey. I was got to say, yeah, in an hour and a half. When I saw his name, I thought he might have some sort of bit part, like a name check on the plane. I thought, as they first meet him on the plane, but nope, not just the name check. It was quite extensive. It was the entire movie. Yeah, I don't know if he's normally an actor. I didn't really, I haven't ever noticed him before. Obviously, the equivalent in the previous movie that sort of stood out was Graham Norton, right? I couldn't believe that he'd do what he did, but there we go. I guess it must be his little secret or something, because he does present popular shows of some sort, but somehow he also participated in such a movie of extremes, I guess one could say. I mean, these kind of movies aren't really there to present any kind of topic in any sort of moderate way. Obviously, I'm not expecting like something like Beautiful Thing, that movie. I'm not expecting anything sensible, moderate. You know, I'm just not. I'm not expecting uh, Blue Hour. The Thai film I watched recently. I mean that was something as well. Even in terms of the horror genre, that wasn't too extreme either. But yeah, some horror films, I guess, are thoughtful. I mean that kind of was, but it was also very confusing. So I suppose some people might be lost on that. But reading other people's interpolation. I could see how it could be interesting, and how some people found it interesting. It's a bit too confusing on first viewing, though, in my opinion, as opposed to these couple of movies here, which are not at all confusing whatsoever. That's not the point, is it? Nope. Nor is fucking a pie. That is so not confusing. As straightforward as possible. A bit too straight, you know. But hey, I mean, if it's funny, there were funny sequences. I'm here for the comedy and the horror when that takes its turn. Other than that, I guess there's other movies do other things, but well, movies are always a bit strange. I don't know. Those things, you know. Some may be a bit too wild, but some may be a bit too extreme. I mean, I've seen some seriously extreme ones in the past that I haven't commented on. I think there are other extreme ones I might watch in the future, but I do not personally go out to watch extremes. I do not seek them out. I just sometimes think that it might be interesting, maybe a comedy or horror. Today I just felt like watching this comedy. Maybe at some point in the future continue the American Pie series, despite I don't know. This is always some sort of joke anyway. I'd be very surprised if I go a whole movie without at least chuckling a bit. Usually I do. I did here. Maybe not too much, And it wasn't an intelligent sort of humor, obviously. It was raunchy at best, and but it's not too bad, except for those parts that I've mentioned. The very extreme parts, and yeah, I didn't mind it anyway.